Good morning. I'm Carol Hemsler. I'm a member of the Board of Directors. Welcome to White Bear Unitarian Church, Unitarian Universalist Church. We are a community of youth, adults, and children of many diverse theologies, held together by covenant, not creed. Welcome to any visitors. We are so glad you're here on this chilly morning. May you find deep welcome and belonging here in this place. Please fill out a yellow guest card so we can send you a welcome email. To share a request for today's meditation, please place it in the chat box or add it to our meditation bowl before the opening hymn. Please gain consent before you use someone's full name. The meditation bowl is in the Soul Work Center over there. Our pastoral care team is making themselves available after both services for the next few Sundays, for anyone who needs in-the-moment crisis care. If you need a listening ear, please find them in the Emerson alcove, which is down the hall there, which is down past the restrooms in that room with floor-to-ceiling windows. Once there, you will be able to find a quieter room to talk. Here at our church, we do offer spiritual growth opportunities for our children and youth during our 11 a.m. service. And we also offer nursery care during both services. Please see Matt Thielen if you have any questions. As always, your children are also welcome to stay with you during service. We welcome the noises and movements and joy that your little ones bring. Let's take a moment and wave to those who are attending online. Our services go 60 to 75 minutes long. If you need to leave before then, feel free. For those in the room, please join us at our social hour after the service in the social hall, where there's also good cookies. And now a brief word from Reverend Jack.
It is my great pleasure to welcome our guests today. We have Reverend Karen Hutt as our guest preacher and our musicians Sophia and Adam. Karen has been a mentor and role model to me. She actually was here in 2019 giving the right hand of fellowship to me as part of my ordination service, which was very meaningful. She's been the UU minister for 25 years, board certified chaplain and CPE educator. She has served UU congregations here in Minneapolis, but also Chicago and New York. And she is currently leading CPE groups for the JED Center, the Pittsburgh VA Hospital, and the Army National Guard. She's also married to Reverend Ashley Horan, who is the VP for Programs and Ministries for the UUA. They live in Minneapolis together with their 3 children, Z, Aspen, and Eden. And Sophia Spiegel is a cellist, guitarist, vocalist, and songwriter based in Minneapolis, performing often throughout the Midwest and East Coast. Sophia is also in her second year pursuing a master's in divinity at Yale Divinity School and hopes to be ordained as a UU minister. She is founder and leader of Dilly Dally Alley, this morning's band that has made waves in the post-pandemic jazz and indie scene. And that band also includes bassist Adam Tucker. So we welcome all 3 of you this morning. Glad you're here.
Welcome to our church. Together we grow our souls and serve the world in love.
Whispers to you. has got them spinning. Every day begin again, whether the water's glass or it pulls you down. Your breath will keep you buoyant and your wits will keep your body from going down. Keep my head up, gotta keep my head up, boy. I'm on your riptide and I'm worried to sit up drinking in your water. I just wanna give in. Maybe if I do, then we can both begin again. To keep my head up, gotta keep my head up, boy. I'm on your riptide and I'm worried to sit up drinking in your water. I just wanna give in. Maybe if I do, both begin again. Maybe if I do, then we can both begin again. Go easy on your body, go easy on your soul, and never let another body take away the things that make you whole.
I'm Jack Gady, he, him, and I serve as your associate minister here. Come into this place which we make holy by our presence. Come in with all your vulnerabilities and strengths, fears and anxieties, loves and hopes. For here you need not hide, nor pretend, nor be anything other than who you are and who you are called to be. Come into this place where we can touch and be touched, heal and be healed, forgive and be forgiven. Come into this place where the ordinary is sanctified, the human is celebrated, the compassionate is expected. Come into this place. Together we make it a holy place.
I'm Gloria Ferguson. My pronouns are she, her. This morning, I'd like to tell you a story about presence, our theme for December. In 1993, our then 14-year-old daughter, Annie, qualified to compete in a national youth fencing tournament taking place in Colorado. But then Colorado's legislature passed a law prohibiting same-sex marriage. So we said, poop on them, we're not going. Instead of going to Colorado, we piled into our station wagon and drove to the Gay Pride March in Washington, D.C. It was a joyous experience for us all, but for our son, Aaron, it was clearly so much more. There, for the first time in his 17-year-old life, everywhere he went, on the metro, on the mall, in restaurants, at the AIDS quilt, the reflecting pool, the Lincoln and Washington memorials, everywhere, he was in the presence of people like him. This young man, who at that time probably knew 10 queer kids, found himself in the midst of hundreds of thousands of his people, walking together in pride and power. There were so many people there, in fact, that he had choices about which group in that multitude to march with: the youth, the Minnesotans, or the Unitarians. And Madonna was there, and RuPaul, Melissa Etheridge, Holly Near, and the Indigo Girls sang for us. The Reverend Jesse Jackson and Ian McKellen, Eartha Kitt and Nancy Pelosi, and the great John Lewis spoke to the crowd, celebrating their presence. That whole weekend, Aaron basked in the light of it. He glowed with it. What did he experience over those few days that was so powerful and profound? It was something more than support, more than acknowledgement, more even than the deep love we held for him and hold for him. He affirms that it was a sense of safety, of freedom and belonging that can come only when we know deep in our bones that we are in the presence of our own people. That weekend, close to 1 million of his people, at long last, felt no need to hide nor pretend. Instead, they gathered in one place for all to see, and it was a gift beyond measure. When it was over, we headed out with homemade pride signs in our station wagon window. All along the way, we found others who had been there with us. With honks and smiles and waves and brief conversations at rest stops and restaurants, they carried us all the way home and into a more hopeful future. What that experience illuminated for me is this: we not only need other people, we need our people. We need people whose lives intersect and overlap and reflect our own life experiences. We need to see people like us, people facing what we face, whatever that may be, making their way through this messy and beautiful world with integrity and strength, and sometimes even with great joy, despite all the obstacles in the way. That, my friends, is why I come here, because you are my people. Together we feed each other cookies and ideas, poetry and music and support. When we are at our best, we see in one another what we hope to see in ourselves. We remind one another that no matter what lies ahead, we are not alone. Here in this place that we make holy by our presence, we have one another, and we are loved. Plan B. Please join me in the opening words. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Please rise in body or spirit for hymn number 389. Sophia will give you further instructions.
So we are going to attempt a round on this fine morning. We're going to attempt a round. There's a lot of talented people in the audience. I can just sense it. So what I'm going to do is we're all going to sing the whole song together, and then I'll give a cue to this talented group of people over here to start us off. You keep singing. Adam and Kathleen will kind of guide you in the melody, and then I will start you guys afterwards. We'll sing it around. I will be singing with you guys, but you guys keep singing, and then I'll give you a little close when you guys go. Is that good? All right. Gathered here. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour. Gathered here in one strong body. Gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour. Gathered here in one strong body. Gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near. shining. Beautiful.
Now it's time for the story for all ages, so I invite any children or youth forward, or those young at heart who want to be a little closer to the story. As Unitarian Universalists, we draw wisdom from many different sources. The stories that we share with one another come from different religious traditions, from our own Unitarian Universalist history, from nature and science, and even, of course, from our own lives and experience. This story is one of those, and it comes from February of 2020. Does anybody remember that time? Yeah, challenging time, you might say. One of the very last supper and soul work gatherings we had here on a Wednesday night before the shutdown of the pandemic. It's a story that was woven by those who were there that day, the children, the youth, the adults, who showed up to do the work of growing and serving in multi-generational community, which is what we do here. So picture it. It was Valentine's Day 2020. Well, the week of Valentine's Day. So our soul work prompt that evening was simply to think about the people and pets in our lives who we love and who love us. And then to create a small blessing to give to them or to honor them, something as simple as a small paper heart. An invitation to hold space and time to name the love that surrounds each of us. As sometimes happens in our work, we found out rather quickly that this activity was not at all satisfactory to the children who were present that day. Have you guys ever experienced that? No? So while the adults in the space dutifully completed their paper hearts assignment, the children asked for construction paper that was not shaped like hearts, and scissors, and tape, and markers, and then they asked if they could work on the floor. It started to feel like we were living inside the children's story, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, for those of you that know that one. And yet, we were more than happy to oblige. What we observed next was incredible. The kids there that day built a paper castle together. They figured out how to make the walls stand up together. They made up stories about who lived there and how they lived together peacefully. They invited one another in and brought love to the center without our silly little paper hearts, except for the ones they used to glue to the walls. And they did all of this in community. It was a masterclass in inclusion and improvisation, as they kept saying yes and to each other. As they learned about love together, welcoming one another to participate in ways that made sense to each of them. And we were blown away. A lot of what we do in our soul work programming is, on the surface, a very individual experience. The practices that center me might be different from the practices that center you, or you, or you. But our hope is always that the spaciousness of the container of soul work allows us to grow in new and challenging ways. It can also be an invitation into a parallel play experience, each of us thinking, creating, growing on our own in the presence of others. And sometimes a parallel experience is just what we need. It's where we are, right? Growing happens when it happens. But the children there that day reminded us that when we create a container where we feel seen and heard and honored and safe, we can take risks and move into a different kind of learning. One with cooperative play, cooperative spiritual growth, and cooperative community. So thank you to anyone who was there with us that day, teaching us those lessons. And thank you for learning those lessons if you were there as well. We are going to sing our children and youth out to their children's chapel, so please join me in Go Lift It Up.
Go lift it up, love is your way. Moonlight, starlight, guide your
Please join me for a moment of prayer and meditation. Gathered as we are here together, about 100 people in this room and 35 households on Zoom. Find a comfortable seat and settle into this moment with some deep breaths, maybe letting your shoulders fall away from your ears, resting your eyes in one place or closing them if that helps you to focus on the needs of your spirit. On this cold winter morning, we're grateful for the warmth of community. On the cusp of Thanksgiving here, still holding so many gratitudes as we enter into December, a season of cold, a season of waiting, a season where we practice the art of presence, being present to all that has been, all that is, and all that is yet to come. We're grateful for the many holiday seasons that have come before, and we're building toward new ways of celebrating holidays, with new traditions intermingling with old ones, and we're blessed with the interweaving of family and neighbors, friends, biological family and chosen family, little ones and elders, together, all of us, in our common humanity. We gather together as a diverse people across multiple generations, multiple perspectives, and different lived experiences. People with different gender identities and racial identities, political leanings, and theological understandings. During this time and this season, we celebrate our common humanity despite and amidst our differences. And may we remain curious about what we can learn from each other as we imagine a new future. This morning, we have many members of our community with various joys and sorrows, and we lift them up now. Jen Stowe is at home receiving chemotherapy for breast cancer 20 years after being cancer-free from colon cancer. We pray for her recovery and for blessings of companionship and solidarity as she faces a challenging time. Jill Schwendeman's nephew is recovering well from a sudden illness. Continued prayers for him and his family. And Carrie Kebke is also home recovering well from knee surgery. Prayers of continued recovery. Beverly Proud has entered hospice this week, and she would appreciate and welcome visitors. No need to call to schedule or bring food or flowers, just conversation is desired. Prayers for comfort and companionship. We also have requests here this morning for Gigi, for Mary, whose grandchild has severe pneumonia, Marie, whose brother died yesterday in Greece, and congratulations to the Kashavaras family. A baby girl, Dana, was born on Saturday. This family is one of the many families that the WBUUC Refugee and Immigrant Committee supports through your generosity. We pray also this morning for the millions of people devastated by war this past year in Gaza and Israel, in Russia and Ukraine, and in Sudan. We pray for peace and for a world where peace can be and is prioritized. We pray for the well-being of many over the comfort and the wishes of the few. And now we speak out loud into this space the names of the people who we're holding in our hearts and minds. Knowing that together we can hold it more easily than we can alone. May it be so and make it so. Amen. Please remain seated as we sing together Dona Nobis Pacem.
Please turn to page 388 in your gray hymnal. The same page is gathered here. So we're going to try a 3-part round. The first time was our training, and this is the real event now. So same deal, we're going to sing it all together. And then I'm going to divide the group. You see that kind of random line between these lovely groups of people? I'm going to separate 1 here. 2 is going to be between the lovely individual knitting up front. And yes, yep, you're gonna create that through line, yes, so imagine two bubble is here, and then you guys are gonna be number 3, the very last to sing. So be practicing your pipes for that. So once more, sing it all together. I'm going to be starting everybody, but I'll be moving on to the next one. But in the meantime, Adam, I'll have you keep it on the first part. Kathleen, I'll have you keep it on the second part. So Kathleen is your buddy, Adam is your buddy, and I'm your buddy. Sound good? All right, let's go. 1, 2. Dona nobis pacem, pacem. Dona nobis 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 pacem, pacem. Dona nobis pacem. Dona nobis pacem, pacem. Dona nobis pacem. Dona nobis pacem, pacem. Dona nobis 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 pacem.
Before we take this morning's offering, we have a few community announcements. The 5-week grief support group is starting today at 12:30 p.m. in the Wheatley Room. Please register online or talk with Reverend Jack. This coming Wednesday, please join us for supper at 5:30 p.m. Our evening programming will include choir rehearsal, the Parents Circle, and programming for kids. Join Reverend Jessica for her book group at 9 a.m. on Thursday. Is it on? Is it on? Okay. December 12th. That's the book group, sorry. Thursday, December 12th. The book is called The Mushroom at the End of the World. And we have a brief announcement from our auction team. Don't forget that our Jingle and Mingle auction is in 6 short days, and it's time to bid. The bidding is open online. This is no time to hold back. If you bide your time, you might bid adieu to some great items. You can find the auction website on our church's website, and it has a catalog chock full of items, including a snowblower, which is just in time for winter. You can also find tickets for the Greek dinner, which is almost sold out. The dinner is geared towards adults and older youth. And if you have younger kids, there will be pizza and games in a special kids' room staffed by our RE staff. Please direct any questions to Jean or Melba. You can find them at the table in the social hall or at the email address auction@wbuuc.org. And now a special update from the Endowment Committee.
I'm Kathy McComber, and my pronouns are she, her. I have an update on the matching grant program for WBUUC's endowment fund. You might remember that $250,000 was anonymously offered by a longtime member. $200,000 if matched by cash or stock donation between now and February 28th, and a bonus of $50,000 if 25 households send in letters of intent for a future gift. These letters of intent do not require any cash donation at this time, but help us get the bonus. Before I throw any more numbers at you, please know that gifts of all sizes, any amount, no minimum, are most welcome. Participation is one of our key goals. And the totals. As of Wednesday, we've had 5 letters of intent toward our goal of 25 households, and $76,000 toward our goal of $200,000. We're very excited and pleased with these amounts and your interest. Thank you. The $76,000 came in from 21 households. 9 gifts were above $500, and 12 were at or below $500. The 5 letters of intent, some as part of people's estate planning, total more than $100,000. We will be set up in the social hall after this service and would love to chat and answer any of your questions. For all you math lovers, the campaign is 25% over, and we have 20% of the letters of intent needed and 38% of the current donations needed. Some of the current donations came from people's required minimum distributions. If the campaign started too late in the year for your 2024 RMD, maybe you'll think of this campaign in January for your 2025 RMD. Thank you.
Today's special collection is for Solid Ground, a longtime partner of WBUUC. Solid Ground provides safe, affordable housing and supportive programming to more than 800 children and adults per year in suburban Ramsey and Washington counties. Most participants housed in Solid Ground have experienced long-term homelessness and other trauma, as well as struggles with mental illness, chemical dependency, and/or chronic health conditions. Solid Ground supports clients in pursuing health, education, and employment goals. They also provide enrichment activities for children to promote social, emotional, and academic growth. All funds donated in today's collection will go to Solid Ground for their work to support families and prevent homelessness. You can contribute in the baskets that will be passed around, or by donating on the website, or by using the text give feature that is printed in the order of service and in the chat box. However you choose to give, indicate the keyword SOLID, S-O-L-I-D. We will now watch a short video that shows the impact of Solid Ground on the people it serves.
I was living in Wisconsin, building bridge preforms, and my kids were in Florida, and their mom had a nervous breakdown, and I chose to go get them, and I had to go through court and stay down there like a whole month, and I lost everything I had, and I did a little research about Minnesota, and I seen it's a helpful state, so I ended up coming here with nowhere to go, actually, just off faith and, for the better. So all this stuff is new to me, you know, raising kids. It's a whole nother level, you know, and I'm just used to working and doing stuff like that. So it's not no joke being a single parent. I stayed in 3 different like shelters, you know. When I got my kids enrolled in school, I let them know about my situation I was going through at the time through my kids' school counselor. I found out about Solid Ground. He referred me. Solid Ground it was the best program I actually got into. It gave me freedom, and I accomplished my goal, you know, because the goal was to get into a place and things like that. But we got denied a couple times, you know, and they ended up calling back, and oh man, it was a relief call. Like, you know, it was a call that's showing me like, hey, you're doing the right thing and just keep going. It was so great, you know, to have a place to call home, you know. And Solid Ground came and helped out a lot, you know, brought me dishware, you know, covers, things of that nature. Offer assistance with rent, you know, electrical, things like that. It's a great program. And I wouldn't be where I'm at now if it wasn't for them, you know, honestly.
Thank you for your generosity and your commitment to this life we live together.
Gave me soil, and I gave you sweetness. You gave me fish, so the sugars in my head didn't spoil. I gave you a story. You gave me a home. And when you gave me courage, I leaned, I squeezed, I stumbled, then I stood there, left senseless and clumsy and grown. Long ago, you creeped inside a little bubble. You grew and you grew till the bubbles foamed up tiny in you. Then one day you met me. Could have sworn I never seen a critter crawling as pretty as you. You took, held, taught, tugged, tender. Oh, my heart, what could I do? Had my head in the clouds about you. You spared a minute or two for my life, so I spared in return a heaping moment, a tight squeeze of mine, like justice, like humor, like the creeping pulse of time. Could I be made of you? Did you become me when you made camp in my heart? When 1 and 1 made 3, throw me in on your grabbing hold of my mind. Oh, please give me the tenderest parts of your time. Oh, do we have one conscience? Oh, could we have one brain? Oh, could we be a solution? Oh, could we be a refrain? I'm subject to changing, I'm subject to stealing, I'm subject to wager a song for your healing. Liken me to a firefly that's hiding in your pocket. Give me the housing of a termite or a bee. Oh, sting me with the sharp pains of growing towards you. Be your own being, then be part me. If we were to live forever, would you please keep your appetite? Join me in a life of loving you. Just like you give life, you give and you give and you give and you take it back to form that endless sunlight I see in you.
Our readings today are an assertion of Black humanist voices.
I do not know if there is a personal God. I do not see how I can know, and I do not see how my knowing can matter. What does matter, I believe, is how I deal with myself and how I deal with my fellows. James Weldon Johnson, Along This Way, 1933, a Black humanist.
We are here as one brotherhood and one sisterhood, as one humanity, with a responsibility to the downtrodden and the oppressed of all humanity. It matters not under what flag or in what country they happen to be born. Let us have that idea of Thomas Paine, that the world is my country and mankind are my countrymen. Lucy Parsons' speech at the founding convention of the Industrial Workers of the World, 1905, a Black humanist.
Let us have less talk of heaven and do right a little bit. Walter E. Hawkins, Too Much Religion in Chords and Discords, 1909, a Black humanist.
Somebody else may have my rapturous glance at the archangels. The springing of the yellow line of morning out of the misty deep of dawn is glory enough for me. Zora Neale Hurston, Dust Tracks on a Road, 1942, a Black humanist.
We want the full works of citizenship with no reservations. We will accept nothing less. This condition of freedom, equality, and democracy is not the gift of gods. It is the task of men. A. Philip Randolph, Keynote Address to the Policy Conference, March on Washington Movement, Detroit, 1942, a Black humanist.
I don't have any special religion. My religion is, I guess I'll say something corny, people living. Gwendolyn Brooks, interview 1917, a Black humanist.
If the concept of God has any validity or any use, it can only be to make us larger, freer, and more loving. If God cannot do this, it is time we got rid of him. James Baldwin, The Fire Next Time, 1963, a Black humanist.
Came back to tell me you loved me just before I skipped town. Oh, way to tango, you stirred in my heart the time it's such a letdown. Why say goodbye to the things that make you who you are? But It's a ship set, sail B, for the cargo set to touch down. Stripped to my bones, it's so hard to be alone without you. Yeah, it's still I cry, not for you, not for anyone beyond the deep blue. I cry for me, and how happy I am to be free. Gripped by golden threads, I clutch the silken slippery cloth from some cat's spool. Seems like every corner I turn reminds me of you, feel like a damn fool. Ancient stories, hearts like cave to curl up in even the high tides of life. Prophets, poets, friends ripped out from the bosom of our deepest on some stupid of stripped to my bones, it's so hard to be alone without you. Yeah, it's still I cry, not for you, not for anyone beyond the deep blue. I cry for me, and how happy I am to be free. Hey, sitting in my own tree, will she rescue me? Stripped to my bones, it's so hard to be alone without you. Yeah, it's still I cry, not for you, not for anyone beyond the day blue. I cry for me, and how happy I am to be free.
Hello. It's nice to be back here. It's been some time since Jack became a minister in full. Now he's all grown up. I'm so proud of him. Jack did his clinical pastoral education with me, which meant that he worked at the, I think you were at the cancer unit? Yeah, at the U? Yeah. The first CPE program in outpatient cancer. Now they have a full-time chaplain there, thanks to the good work that you all did in proving that outpatient chaplaincy is important. I'm glad for this invitation to come back, so much so that I got up really bright and early and scrubbed myself clean and put on a tie and clean pants. Since I work from home, it's always optional what I do on the bottom. But today I put it all together. Thank you, Jack, for that. Except I still have on sneakers because I had hip surgery. So any hip replacement people out there? All right, yeah, we are a crew, let me tell you. It isn't a miracle. Let us pray for just a second. Spirit of hope and possibility, may the words of my heart and the meditations of my head be worthy and useful to someone today. Amen. I don't know about you, but some mornings I get up and I get my coffee. Actually, my partner is so kind. She's a fine humanitarian. She brings me coffee every morning. And when I don't have it, I'm panicked. But she brings it to me, and I turn on the news, and I kind of keep it low in the morning. keep the news low, and I look at the headlines and the scrolls sort of out of the corner of my eye, and when I even scan my phone, I do so thinking that it's a time bomb of headlines that might blow up in my hand. I don't know about you, but what used to be extraordinary in our culture is now quite ordinary. What used to be unthinkable is the everyday, and what we used to think was unbearable, we have adjusted ourselves to tolerate. We have adjusted ourselves to tolerate the unbearable, the unspeakable, the unimaginable. We have succumbed to thinking it's tolerable. A radically changed and highly charged political atmosphere has taken hold of our country, in case you've been asleep under a rock. We can throw our hands in the air. Any hip-hop heads here? Any hip-hop heads? Throw our hands in the air and wave them like we just don't care. And if you're not a square from, everybody say, all right, thank you. I just want to see if anybody do that. Not in the script. But we can throw our hands in the air and we can gesticulate a whole lot, but something is happening that many of us have not ever seen before. Many of us could not imagine, and for a few of us who are old enough, it is reminding of us of a time, perhaps in Europe, that we'd rather not remember. But for many young people, this is the only America they have ever known. The only America they've ever known is a world with the headlines that make many of us just cringe. And so for them, the creeping fascist state has become a normal headline. Yet here we are, preparing to fight to maintain the right to no-fault divorce. There are 32 propositions to end that in this country right now. An interracial marriage in Tennessee just 2 weeks ago has been made illegal in a vague kind of law that was signed. Illegal, my marriage. And let's not look at the clown car of cabinet positions that are going to be ushered in on what day? King Day in January. What a curious time we are in, friends. What a curious time. So I say, what do you say, dear humanist amongst us? I know you're here. What do you say, dear humanist? Those of us who would call ourselves humanists, like myself, are people holding on to ideas and believing and hoping and envisioning the potential of doing what is good, doing what is decent, doing what is fair, and doing what is just. What say you humanist? What say you, those who believe in the inherent dignity and goodness of all people? What say you to your neighbors down the road sitting in Eagle Brook Church, wanting to do what they believe is good and decent and fair and just, and it's the exact opposite as what some of you believe? What say you to your neighbors, you humanists? The notion that Americans can harmoniously and productively coexist has come to seem more like a quaint fiction than an actual reality. The idea that Americans can have civil conversations with members of different political parties appear to be from a Jimmy Stewart or Tom Hanks script than in our reality. The evidence that the majority of Americans, if given a chance, would fight to preserve the common good for all over the comfort of a few, the evidence for that is very, very thin. Yet, these are the aspirations of humanism, no matter what the flavor of humanists we are. Humanism is a philosophy. We are the people without supernaturalism. We are the people who affirm our ability and responsibility to lead ethical lives of personal fulfillment. We aspire to the greater good. of humanity guided by reason, inspired by compassion, and informed by experience. Ours is a view of the world as it is, what the world was, and what it might be because of us. Now, given these fundamentals of humanism and the current fundamentals of America, my question at this time of heightened animosity, insecurity, and aggression is this. Have our nice words, all the words you heard in this service up to now, our nice words, our beautiful music, and our democratic principles, and our values, and our aspirations, and our posters, and our pamphlets, all of this, have they become irrelevant? Are they merely utopian fantasies? Or are they now more urgent and necessary than ever before? Now, friends, I want you to get settled in your seats for a minute. I'm going to do a little experiment. I'm going to take you on a little train ride with me. Buckle up, and we're going to ride the humanist train, okay? We're going to ride the humanist trains, but there are 3 different passenger cars in this train, all right? You don't know which train you're going to be into based on who you are. Now, they're all linked together, but they're 3 distinct cars. There are all kinds of humanists on this train, but each has its own little flavor and its own style. Now, the first car is decorated in very distinguished wood paneling. And there are good rugs on the floor. You know good rugs, Pakistani 100-year-old rugs, beautiful rugs. You know those rugs, right? I have those rugs in my house. The language in here is a little parochial, but the seats are comfortable and high and plush, easy to get in and out of. This is the boomer humanist car. Now, I'm a Yankee, Philadelphia, Boston humanist from way back. The tones of this car are pleasing to my eyes. It's a little pedantic in here, a little academic, and some of the jargon is obscure, and they love to talk about the great canon of revolutionary humanist thinkers. They talk about Spinoza in ways like they were good friends. They understand the nature of humanism is to question, upset, and reform. And for the folks on this boomer humanist train car, humanism is personal. And it's not attached to any particular theorist or practitioner, but they are pictures of John Dewey and Noam Chomsky and lots of famous UUs. And if you meet them at the snack bar, they're eating certain things, good bread, to go with those good rugs, good cheese, really good cheese. And they define themselves as free-thinking and hopeful as they pass sherry and port. They're good folks. They're good people. Setting aside all the thoughts of the afterlife, these humanists focus on making the most of earthly existence, pursuing happiness as they traverse the globe and seek to mitigate suffering. In this train car, you could hear them reading 19th century American free thinker Roger Ingersoll. Happiness is the only good. The time to be happy is now. The place to be happy is here. The way to be happy is to make others too. And then you look at these people. You look at these boomer humanists in this train, and you can see something in their eyes, that they are looking for a world that has not yet come. They keep looking. Now, the second car is a little different. It's designed a little different. Lots of bright colors and hip-hop music and a lot of dreadlocks. There are pictures of Lorraine Hansberry and the 1990 humanist rapper KRS-One, Norm Allen and Zeta Smith, and posters from organizations like Black Nonbelievers and Latinx Humanists and biracial Jewish Reconstructionist Buddhists. It's a thing. It's a thing. It is louder than the other car, and the furniture is decidedly lower. The snack bar has ramen, and kale chips, and kombucha. They are rooted in the humanism of the landscapes they occupy in communities of color. They are bravely standing up in black spaces, asking that prayer not start all meetings at the NAACP. They are deconstructing white supremacy's relationship with Christianity and oppression. They are reason-centered, scientific, and rooted in the here and now of the human hand. This Gen X, millennial, BIPOC humanist train car, they see themselves through a lens of independence, social entrepreneurialism, and community nation building. That is their call. Most of these humanists grew up without religion, so they are creating new rituals of belonging to celebrate their humanism, which is not solely defined that of a word or the manifesto 1, 2, or 3. Their conferences stress the relationships between the historical context of their conditions in America with the quest for human dignity around the world. They're also making these international connections with the 220 or so African and Latinx and Asian humanist organizations around the world. But then you look at these millennials and Gen Xers, you look them in the eye, and you can see that they are still trying to see a world that has not yet come. It has not yet come. Now, when you look at the third car in this train, you can see that they're getting ready for something, but you're not sure. Maybe they're practicing for a demonstration or a protest, or they're playing Twister. You can't tell the difference. But this is the Gen Z car, the Gen Z humanist car. They have pictures of Greta Thunberg and the Tennessee Justins and Bernie Sanders and Maxwell Frost and Nina Turner on the wall. Having been born into anti-human policies and school shootings every week of their lives, they are seeking a humanity in our culture that they have never seen. Their humanism stems from creating social change through high volumes of advocacy and community building. For these young humanists, they may not even call themselves humanists, but they are the generation that will lead with similar tactics and philosophies that are more akin and more connected to the greatest generation, those in your 90s and hundreds, than they've ever been connected to any other generation. AOC and Franklin Roosevelt would have good conversations today. Amen. Organized labor, where is it happening? Gen Z. I tell people, if you don't have a Gen Z role model, you're in trouble. I say that to all my boomer friends. In this train car, they sit on the floor. So I'm going to stand when I visit them. They drink smoothies in personal blenders. They take time to take care of each other. They tend to mental health and they collaborate. They read books like Humanists in the Hood and practice what they call culturally relevant humanism. But you look at these sweet little babies and you look in their eyes, these 24-year-old eyes, and you see that they are looking for a world that they can only dream about because they've never seen that world. They've never seen it. Then, boom, suddenly, the train's derailed. And what's it derailed by? A truck that crossed the track. And it was a U-Haul truck filled with Proud Boys with their masks on, like they did in Ohio a couple weeks ago and walked through downtown with Nazi flags shouting obscenities to everyone. But they had their faces covered and they were a group of 12. But the same group gets out of this truck and it hits the train. But they run off when they see all these people getting out of the train looking at them as if, I dare you. And they run off like the cowards that they are. The train may have been derailed by cowards, but it's more than a truck that's been derailed. The train is like our country right now, derailed by policies that are anti-human policies that propel us towards hatred, policies that support violence for its own sake, and all forms of anti-human, anti-women, anti-child, anti-trans, anti-environment, anti-everything but pro-oligarch and pro-authoritarianism. Oh yes, we have been derailed, friends. But when the humanists from these three cars get off of the train after the derailment, and they begin to mingle with each other while the new train is being summoned to pick them all up, to take them where they're going, the boomer humanist moves over and asks, what was that music you all were playing? That was really bumping. To the millennial car and the Gen X car. And then the Gen X sees the Gen Z humanist in the hood book and asks the Gen Z person, can I take a picture of that? I want to get that book. And then somebody in Gen Z asks one of the boomers who's wearing an old t-shirt from the Vietnam War days, t-shirts that are twice as old as this Gen Zer, and wearing a t-shirt and saying, were you there then? Their conversations are becoming curious and engaging and authentic and nonstop, and there's bells going off between the generations, between people's heads, and connective tissues being formed and sewn between ideas and possibilities. And you can hear people saying, okay, yeah, I get it, yeah, okay, Howard Zinn, yeah, that was your teacher? Yeah, that was my teacher in college. Actually, it was my teacher at Boston University. Howard Zinn was my teacher, and I read the People's History in 8th grade, somebody says. They never considered this. Really? Could we? Maybe, perhaps. I invite you to come. Let's do this together, perhaps collaborate. All of these connective tissue words, these invitational words are happening amongst the generations as they wait for the next car to come. And then you look at them all together and you can see all of them have never seen the world that they want to see. Not one of them have seen it, but they keep dreaming it. It's in their eyes, it's in their walk, it's in their banter with one another. And they realize that the power that they have together to confront these horrors is greater than anything they could have imagined by themselves. They realize that the movement they can build together could lead this country into the aspirational democracy that we have all been seeking in ways none of them could imagine. They are not alone. They are facing an imperative together, and the work is right there before them. They continue to bustle and hustle. Friends, humanist values can be really easy when it's just me doing my thing and everybody stays out of my way. It's real easy to be a humanist. We're all pretty great humanists until another human walks into the room. When all of those other humans enter the mix, that's when our humanism is tested. But it's also when our humanism's full power is unleashed like it is in these train cars. It took a derailment to get them all to talk together. It took a crisis, a life or death situation, which is where we are right now. Humanism is going through some things in the world, and it's a good thing. It is being enlarged and challenged. I bet none of you have heard about the 220 worldwide people of color humanist organizations because we've been divided, separated, and uninformed. But now humanism is being challenged and reshaped and humbled and transformed into something that we believe is important because we believe in evolution. Humanism has been humbled by human failures and learned to make room for doubt and awe within itself. Embodied humanism lives beyond the words, the stuffy words of the Enlightenment. Humanism is a way of life, as Dr. J. Exodus Hooper, another Black UU humanist, recently said. When we take a stab, he says, at trying to make change, I don't know that I'm necessarily always interested in like-minded folk as much as I'm interested in like-hearted folk. In other words, it's one thing to agree cognitively with one another. It's a whole nother thing to agree with them on the deeper level of like-heartedness, of lifestyle, and embodied values. Are you going to talk to your neighbors at Eagle Church? So in these 3 trains there is a lot of collective wisdom and the potential of collaborating and endurance to push through what we are fighting against, because we are in a fight for our lives. This is war. Maybe new to some of y'all, but I've been in America a long time, since my family's been here since 1629, so I know a little something about America. We are in a war. Those three train cars of humanists can uplift and support and encourage each other in the battles ahead as they exchange old practices and mix them up with social accountability to build this humanist, multi-generational, multi-class, multi-racial, multi-regional global community. But finally, there's a new train that's coming. It's coming. But it's bigger, but it's only one car. So y'all gonna have to pile in together. So they grab all their stuff. You know, the boomers run off and get their stuff. They gotta leave the rugs, but they get the bread and cheese, and they get their little sherry bottle. And then the Gen Xers are getting all their stuff, and their flannel, and their smoothies, and their kale trips, and kombucha, and the ramen. And the Gen Z gets their little twister board, and their fidget toys, and their support animals. I'm just being real. Everybody got their stuff. Okay? Everybody has a comparable thing that they need. But one thing I wonder what's going to happen now, who's going to be the DJ on the train? I imagine it might look something like this. Of two humanist trains, the Gen Z Justin from Tennessee, who said no to gun violence and got kicked out, and Joan Baez, a great hero for justice and a great mentor for probably many of us in the music world, coming together on that train, making new music from old songs. Blessed be. And now let us sing our final hymn, number 1017, in your teal hymnal. Blessed be.
We are building a new way. Yeah. We are building a new way. Keep clapping. We are building a new way. Feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We are working. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. Hate and greed and jealousy. We are working to
Please join me in the closing words. May peace dwell within our hearts and understanding in our minds. May courage steel our will and love of truth forever guide us.
Go in peace, but stay for the postlude.
Some of you guys know this as well. Yeah. Yesterday a child came out to wonder, caught a dragonfly inside a jar. Fearful when the sky was full of thunder, and tearful at the falling of a star. Everybody! And the seasons, they go up and down, and the painted ponies go up and down. Sorry. We're captive on the carousel of time. We can't return, we can only look behind from where we came and go round and round and round in the circle game. Then the child moved 10 times round the seasons, skated over 10 clear frozen streams. Words like when you're older must appease him, and dreams of promises of someday make his dreams. And the seasons, they go round and round, and the painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on the carousel of time. We can't return, we can only look behind from where we came and go round and round and round in the circle game. Teenage years now. 16 springs and 16 summers gone now. Car wheels turn to car wheels through the town, and they tell him, take your time, it won't be long now, till you drag your feet to slow the circles down. And the seasons, they go round and round, and the painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on a carousel of time. We can't return, we can only look behind from where we came and go round and round and round in the circle game. So the years spin by and the boy is 20, though his dreams have lost some grandeur coming true. There'll be new dreams, maybe better dreams and plenty, before the last revolving year is through. One more time. And the seasons, they go round and round, and the painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on a carousel of time. We can't return, we can only look behind from where we came and go round and round and round in the circle game. One more time. And go round and round and round circle.